जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी। जय गोपी जना वल्लभ जय गिरिवारधारी। जय गिरिवारधारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभ जय गिरिवारधारी। जय गिरिवारधारी। यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन। यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन। यमुना तीरावनचारी। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभ जय गिरिवारधारी। जय गिरिवारधारी। यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजना। यमुना तीरावनचारी। यमुना तीरावनचारी। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Nitya Leela Pravishta Jam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Ashtottara Sadasri Srimad His Divine Grace Abhay Charanaravindha Bhaktivedanta Swami Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON and BBD Sanstapakacharya, Savior of the whole world, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nitya Leela Pravishta Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Ashtottara Sadasri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Radha Partha Sarati Lalita Vishaka Gopa Gopinath Shyama Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Gaur Nithai Ki Jai. Shri Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman Ki Jai. Shri Prahlad Narsimdev Bhagavan Ki Jai. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. ISKCON Vartamanacharya Vrinda Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai. Nitai Nitai Gaur Sitanath Premanande Hari 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 Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Teve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatya Deshatarane. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayed Nashta Prayeshva Bhadrayeshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Vande Sri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakada Mahyam Tadadi Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurun Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangcha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhana Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindubhya Evacha Patitanaham Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatya Deshatarine. Hare Krishna. So we're reading today from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 17, Text 35. Chapter entitled Maharaja Prithu becomes angry at the earth. तो अनुवाद पीछे है, सरोजमुख माधव प्रभु कर रहे हैं. अपामुपस्ते मयिना व्यवस्थिताः प्रजा भवानद्यरिरक्षिषु किला सवीरमूर्तिः समभूद्धराधरो यो मां पयस्युग्रसरो जिघांससि अपामुपस्ते मयिना व्यवस्थिताः प्रजा भवानद्यरिरक्षिषु किला सवीरमूर्तिः समभूद्धराधरो यो मां पयस्युग्रशरो जिघांससि अपामुपस्थे मयिना व्यवस्थिताः प्रजा भवानद्यरिरक्षिषु किला सवीरमूर्तिः समभूद्धराधरो यो मां पयस्युग्रशरो जिघांससि else? Vaishnavis? Someone else? Kindly repeat after me these synonyms. The word by word synonyms as well as translation and purport are by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. Apam, of the water. Upaste, situated on the surface. Mai, in me. Navi, in a boat. Avastitaha, standing. Prajaha, living entities. Bhavan, yourself. Adya, now. Rirakshishuhu, desiring to protect. Kila, indeed. Saha, he. Viramurtihi, in the form of a great hero. Samabhut, became. Dharadharaha, the protector of the planet Earth. Yaha, one who. Mam, me. Payasi, for the sake of milk. Ugra Sharaha, with sharpened arrows. Jigham Sasi, you desire to kill. Can you repeat after me the translation by His divine grace? My dear Lord, in this way, you once protected me by rescuing me from the water, and consequently, your name has been famous as Dhara Dhara, he who holds the planet Earth. Yet, at the present moment, in the form of a great hero, you're about to kill me with sharpened arrows. I am, however, just like a boat on the water, keeping everything afloat. Purport. The Lord is known as Dhara Dhara, meaning He who keeps the planet Earth on His tusks as the boar incarnation. Thus, the planet Earth in the shape of a cow is accounting the contradictory acts of the Lord. Although He once saved the earth, He now wants to upset the earth, which is like a boat on water. No one can understand the activities of the Lord. Due to a poor fund of knowledge, human beings sometimes think the Lord's activities contradictory. So read the verse and the translation once again. Apamupaste mayanavyavastita praja bhavanadya rirakshishu kila savira murtis samabodharadharo yomam payasyugra sharo jigamsasi. My dear Lord, in this way, you once protected me by rescuing me from the water, and consequently your name has been famous as Dharadhara, he who holds the planet Earth. Yet, at the present moment, in the form of a great hero, you're about to kill me with sharpened arrows. I am, however, just like a boat on the water, keeping everything afloat. Keeping everything meaning? Keeping everything afloat meaning? What is everything? What is everything? Not where is everything. What is everything? Yeah, all the living entities, the material nature, various aspects of that, whatever is there as that which is existent on the face of the earth, they call it. So somebody said surface, that's what it means. There was a man, this is a very popular internet story, you must have heard of it. There was a man who saw this cocoon. You know a cocoon, right? A cocoon is in the metamorphosis stage. It is a stage prior to the butterfly coming out. Now what happens is a cocoon is a butterfly in preparation, so to say. Like in Prabhupada's Leelamrit, we see a lifetime in preparation. So for the butterfly's preparation, the preparation is essentially the time it spends in the cocoon and the time and the method with which it comes out of the cocoon. So there was a man who was very compassionate. He saw that the poor butterfly to be, is struggling to get out of the cocoon with its wings flapping little bit. It's trying to move hither and thither. Oh, by the way, do you know the word butterfly does not exist? Do you know? It was actually flutter by. Flutter meaning to fly. Flutter by. They kept saying flutter by, and it became butterfly. That's how it came. So this is mentioned with the New York Public Library. So this butterfly was trying to get out, and this man thought, I want to help this butterfly get out and fly and be free. I want to liberate this butterfly. I want to help this butterfly. So he took out the best harmless stainless blade and cut off the cocoon. He said, voila. Voila is like Haribol. The butterfly is free. Of course, the butterfly was free. But the moment it tried to start flapping its wings, it just couldn't. Try as it may, it just couldn't get up. Take-off problem. Just could not fly. What had happened was that the way the Supreme Personality of Godhead, through the agency of His material nature, He has planned that the butterfly acquires the ability to fly, be free, and grow or metamorphose into a butterfly because of the effort that it puts in to get out of the cocoon. When it tries to get out of the cocoon, the various chemicals or enzymes that are currently dormant inside the butterfly, they get released because of the struggle to get out of the cocoon. And this makes the wings stronger. The stronger the wings, the greater the possibility to fly or to flutter by. Quite similarly, the inconceivable plans of the Lord may put us in various kinds of difficult situations, distress. There are various kinds of stress medically. There is positive stress, which is called eustress, E-U-S-T-R-E-S-S. And there is negative stress, which is called distress. So, what we need to understand that all stress is not bad. So the inconceivable plan of the Lord may seemingly put us in a difficult situation, encaged, enmeshed, entangled, bound by our situation. Very difficult situation. But the struggle which we undergo to get out of that particular situation makes us stronger and more intelligent. Thereby, we'll be able to appreciate the mercy of the Supreme Lord better. Like we heard from one senior Vaishnava, that the Lord has an inconceivable plan for everyone. Like some insurance agencies say, we have a plan for each one of you. But since Krishna is the original Yogakshemam Vahamyaham, He actually has an inconceivable plan for each one of us. We should not try to snatch the pen from His hand and write our own destiny. Like the man who tried to cut off the cocoon with a blade. Therefore, we need to understand that the inconceivability of the Lord goes hand in hand with the Lord. Which means, we discussed it earlier also, Srila Jiva Goswami says that if we take away the exact words we're just trying to say, yeah. It is not possible for a tiny human being, Srila Prabhupada mentions in the next purport, it's not possible for a tiny human being to estimate the purpose and plans of the Lord's activities. It's not possible. Prabhupada uses the word tiny very sweetly. It's not possible for a tiny living entity to estimate. Prabhupada is not even using the word understand. He's saying estimate. An estimate is always a guess. An estimate is never a confirmed number. Those of you who are engineers or accountants, you would know the word estimate. Is it a sure number or a not so sure number? Not so sure number. In fact, many people use the word one step lower than estimate. It's called a guesstimate, which is even more complicated. So this is a guesstimate. To estimate the activities of the Lord is actually a guesstimate. So Srila Jiva Goswami says that unless the Lord's activities are accepted as inconceivable, they cannot be explained. In other words, what kind of theory is it that you say the only way to explain this theory is to accept the fact that it cannot be explained? This can be explained. Achintya khalve bhava nachas tarkena yujayet. Srila Prabhupada uses this shloka many times. Achintya khalve bhava nachas tarkena yujayet. By logical comprehension or by interpretation, through speculation, one can never establish the absolute truth. Achintya is inconceivable. Khalve bhava, the universality of this inconceivability. How it is spread everywhere. This inconceivable nature of the absolute truth. Nachas tarkena yujayet. We will never be able to understand it by tarka. One of the Vedanta Sutra aphorisms is tarko apratishtat. It cannot be established by logic. That is the absolute truth. The absolute truth can never be established by logic or conception, our conception of the absolute truth. Okay, I'm going to do a small quiz. Give me one example each of examples that Srila Prabhupada has used to indicate how we try to conceive of the absolute truth, although he is inconceivable. Despite our small position, we are small, still we try to understand the great. Give us a few examples. Yes, one example. Dr. Frog philosophy. The Dr. Frog was living in the well. It thought, how big is the Atlantic Ocean? This big, this big, this big. And of course, beyond a point that the stomach burst. So Srila Prabhupada uses the example. Teeny philosophers, he says, teeny brain of the philosophers and the materialistic scientists or the atheistic scientists. They try to estimate the greatness of the Lord. Anor aniyan mahator mahiyan is greater than the greatest and smaller than the smallest. That is itself contradictory. We discussed this the last time. But how is it possible for the same person to be the greatest of the greatest and yet smallest of the smallest? How is it possible for a person to be all rich and all renunciate, both? Of course, in one sense, you cannot be all renunciate unless you have something. But even otherwise, if you have all the wealth, how can you be so detached from it? Okay, any other example? Yes. He didn't say Bill Gates. He said the world's richest man, or he said Rockefeller. Okay, so that's Krishna saying, I am great. Matta parataram nanyat. Okay, what else? What other example do we have? Of Prabhupada saying that we are too small to try to comprehend the great. Please raise your hands. I can't hear. Yes? Okay, the glowworm are trying to approach the sun. Any other example? Which acharyas say? Okay, the dwarf trying to catch the moon. Have you got this example? Acharyas, the Goswamis talk about this example. The dwarf trying to catch the moon. He's trying to estimate the greatness of the Lord. So there's several such examples. But the samambonam of all these examples is that tarka pratishto shutayo vibhinno. Naso matam tasya matir na bhinnam. Naso munis tasya matam na bhinnam. Dharmasya tattvam nihitam gahaya mahajano yena gatasya panta. I may say this and you may say that. We may say many things. But the absolute truth can be established. Munis are meant to disagree. Prabhupada says Muni means thinker. Rishi or Muni, thinker. He has to contemplate on the absolute truth. While contemplating on the absolute truth, there may be multiple opinions. Okay, what example does Prabhupada give here? Famous example of different people trying to establish the absolute truth differently. Yes? That's right, the elephant. One was saying that the elephant is like a, what? Like a tree, then? Okay, so various parts. So he touched that, somebody touched the tail, somebody touched the trunk, somebody touched the body, somebody touched the legs. So in other words, when we approach the absolute truth from various angles of vision, it becomes increasingly inconceivable. Therefore, the solution is what? Mahajana ena gatassa pantha. See through the eyes of Shastra. So let's examine this verse from that context. In this verse and in the previous verse, Mother Earth is invoking the mercy of the Lord upon herself. How does she invoke the mercy? By letting the Lord remember his previous pastimes. Remember you did this? Sometimes we see that we heard in married life, it so happens that when there are arguments between husband and wife, sometimes they say Matajis have an excellent memory. So they will remember right down to the comma, full stop and semicolon of one argument they had several years back. Right down to the context. It's called emotional intelligence. You know exactly the context. So Mother Earth is actually Vishnu's wife. So they had a great pastime together. So she's reminding Vishnu of that. I mean, this is completely unshastric, but I'm just trying to make you relate to it. But this is the point, that as the wife, and we have to understand that Earth is a wife. How do we know? In the Bhu Suktam, it is mentioned. Vishnu Patni Mahim Devi Madhavi Madhava Priyam Dhanurdharaya Vidmahe Sarva Siddhyai Cha Dhimahi Tanno Dhara Prachodayat. Dhara. This is part of the Pancha Sukta which Gaudiya Vaishnavas chant during Abhishek. The Supreme Lord has three separated energies, Sri, Bhu and Nila. Bhudevi is the Supreme Lord's consort, internal energy. That is her original eternal position. In the material world, she manifests as the earth or sometimes as the cow in the form that she adopts to approach the Lord, like the Milky Ocean in the beginning of Dwapar Yuga or in this occasion. So she's saying that remember those days, that's what she's saying. And we will see in the next verse, the last verse of this chapter, that she says that you have to protect me. Why do you have to protect me? How can somebody put a condition? This is amazing that, like we say, Jodidaya na karibe patita dekhiya, patita pavana nama kisira lagiya. Narottam Das Thakur prays. You have to protect me because I am patita. Because you are patita pavana, your name will not be justified unless you protect me. I am the most fallen. This is the Gaudiya mood. So I remember His Grace Bhaktivinoda Prabhu in one of his classes in Chandigarh. After the class, he asked for questions. So somebody raised the hand and said, Prabhuji, please forgive me for asking this question. I am the most fallen. Most fallen. He said, what do you mean most fallen? Are you taking the position of Narottam Das Thakur? Why are you trying to take the position of Narottam Das Thakur? So, but it's a mood of Gaudiya Vaishnavas to call ourselves the most fallen. And here Mother Earth is saying, you are the one who brings fame to the charitable persons. You bring fame to the charitable persons. What's the word that is given here? Atma Chitta Mohita Chitta Vartma Bihi. Here this thing, even the, she's saying in the next verse that even the activities of your devotees cannot be understood. What to speak of your pastimes? That's what she's saying. Even the activities, how many people can understand a 70-year-old with 3 heart attacks and 40 rupees? Look at the return on investment from 40 rupees to 700 temples across the world. And devotees in far land China, in far land Siberia, in Kenya, in Australia, in Latin America. I mean, it was amazing. We recently had this devotee who was temple president of Venezuela coming here, doing extraordinary kirtan. Which part of the world are you from, Prabhu? Kenya. You're from Kenya, right? It's amazing, isn't it? Prabhupada's mercy reaching Kenya. Who would have thought 50 years back? So, even the activities of his devotees are inconceivable. What to speak about he himself? That is why it's called Uttama Shloka. When you cannot conceive of somebody's qualities, just glorify. That's all you can do. So, let's move further on this. Like we say, we talked about Patita Dekhiya. So here she's saying, you bring fame to those who are charitable. So if you do not be merciful on me, if you're not merciful on me, you will cause their fame to decrease. The fame of the charitable person will decrease because you bring fame to them. Because you're their master, you're their shelter, you're the protector, you're the nourisher. Bharta, Gamaya, Ita and Nivasa. Bhagavan. We discussed that last time also. So we know Samashrita Ye Pada Pallavam Plavam. That lotus feet on which we take shelter. That can save us from the material ocean. Padam Padam Yad Vipadam Natesham. Those who have not taken shelter, this shelter, for them, this material world is fraught with danger at every single step. But what if that danger is conceived in the form of the Lord himself? Here. So she says in this verse beautifully that your progeny were my children. Of course, we know, like in Chaitanya Bhagavat, Vrindavan Das Thakur says, quoting Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that Varahadeva impregnated the earth when he lifted the earth on his tusks, white tusks. That is how Bhaumasura or Narakasura was born. So this example is given. So there's confirmation that she is his wife further. And she's saying, your progeny are my children. Right? They are situated on my lap. Mother Earth. This is Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur quoting Mother Earth. Your children are situated on my lap and I'm nourishing them by feeding them milk. A mother nourishes children by feeding them milk. Now what's happening? I have seen their evil ways. Of course, this is from the time of Vena. I've seen their evil ways. And I, as a mother, to teach them good character, good manners. Sometimes a mother takes the kid to one corner and, like they say in Bombay, gives one tight slap so that the kid is trained. It's required. To teach them good character, I have become angry and I do not supply milk. She's saying, I do not supply milk. Now you, as the master of the house, are going to punish me for that? And that's the reason she's used the word. Upastita means on the water. I have withdrawn milk from them. I provide milk to them. I have withdrawn milk from them. Now, I am the boat that supports them on the water. And you are aiming your bows and arrows at me? That's not fair. There is a saying in English, everything is fair in love and war. But when Krishna fights, that is also love. For Krishna, there is only love. If you remember George Harrison Prabhu writing in Krishna book introduction, all you need is love, within brackets, Krishna. So Krishna and love are inseparable. Krishna's violence, so to say, or war, so to say, is also his love. That is why we said he is so great, that we have to simply respect him and surrender to him. Now, please tell me, how can you surrender to somebody and treat him like your son? How can you surrender to somebody and treat him like your lover? How can you surrender to somebody and treat him as your friend? How is it possible? Anybody wants to try logically? Not Shastra, just common sense. But that again means you are surrendering, right? But you are why do you want to serve your friend? By the mercy of his energy, what? No, but why not? Why are you able to? Why do you want to do it? How can you surrender to somebody and still be his friend? Contradictory, right? You are somewhere near, but you kind of broke the news in a wrong way. You're almost there. You better watch out for him, man. Okay. What else? Yes. Because of love. Because Krishna is full of love, he expects love. Bhaktya Mama Abhijanati. Bhaktya Mama Abhijanati includes twice in Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam Yome Bhaktya Prayashyati Tadaham Bhakti Upahritam. Twice using Bhakti. It doesn't say Paneer Koftam Phalam Toyam. Although we hear it like that, but he says bhakti twice because he wants the bhakti out of the paneer, which is why we still have the paneer there. So the exchange equation is he takes the bhakti and gives kripa. So the kripa is there in the paneer. So what we're trying to say is he is so great, his qualities are so great, his name is so great, his paraphernalia is so great, his form is so great, his associates are so great, that you have to but respect and surrender to him. And when you surrender to him, you also surrender to the desires of a person. That is called surrender. Now, if the desire of the person is that you become his friend, will you become his friend or will you not become his friend? You surrender to somebody. He desires that you become his friend. Will you become his friend? Yes. You surrender to somebody. He desires that you treat him like your child. Will you do it? Yes. You surrender to somebody. He desires that you give the dust of your lotus feet to cure his headache. Will you give? He may not, the gopis did. That's love. That's the exchange, reciprocal equation. Coming out of the inconceivability of the Supreme Lord and our understanding of that sambandha, that he is great, Ekala Ishwara Krishna, or Shabhibritta, Jar Jaicha Rake, or Nritya. We have to dance according to him because he is the Ishwara and we are his Britya. We have no choice. But this choice is taken away because of love. So Sripad Ramanujacharya says that there are Nitya Muktas and Nitya Baddhas. Nitya Baddhas are atheists who completely are inimical to the Lord. There are Nitya Muktas who don't have free will because they can only do what Krishna wants. Yatha tatava vitadhatu lampoto mat prananatastu sa evana paraha. So therein the inconceivability of the Lord creates love. In other words, everything about Krishna is to increasingly enhance our loving relationships with him. It just depends on how much we plug into that source of love. How much do we want to plug in? Like Lord Varaha appeared from the nostril of Lord Brahma. In the third canto we hear the first mention being made. That Lord Brahma, after creating Manu and Shatarupa, Swayambhuva Manu and Shatarupa told them, please go and procreate, expand. So he said, what can we do? There is no earth to fill. The earth is lying in the Garbhotaka. How do you expect us to fill the earth? Excuse me, there is a small technicality. You want us to fill the earth, but there is no earth. So Brahma was saying, oh, of course, that's the problem. And as he was contemplating, from his nose appeared a small thumb-sized boar. And as they were contemplating, what is this? He grew as big as an elephant, as tall as the skies. And they were wondering, who's he? Of course, they already know in one sense. They want to confirm. And so Lord Boar, Prabhupada uses the word, Lord Boar roared. Once. And then again, confirmation. Yes, it's me. Mahashucha. Confirm that it was him. Okay, now we know this is Krishna. So let's glorify him. That's the only job of devotees. Just to glorify Krishna. They just need an excuse to glorify Krishna. So, there are some excellent prayers. I want to just read one or two of them. One of them goes like this. Oh, by the way, what is our kalpa? Shweta Varaha. So, in this kalpa, Varaha appeared as white boar. Adyugi Prabhu, you have some other pastimes. Which are the other incarnations of the boar? So our Adyugi Prabhu is our Leela expert. So if you have any doubts on some of these rare pastimes, you can go to him. So Lord Varaha, our Varaha, Shweta Varaha, but we say Shweta Varaha, although this happened in Swayambhuva Manu's Kalpa. So there are Kalpa Vedas also. They are, depending on the Kalpas, the pastimes of Varaha also changes. They change. So he assumed a bluish complexion. How many boars do you see blue? First of all, how many boars do you see who are so gigantic? And how many boars do you see being glorified like this? Vidunvata vedamayam nijam vapur janas tapas satya nivasino vayam Satashikoddhuta shivam bubindu bhir vimrajyamana brashami shapavitaha. O Supreme Lord, undoubtedly we are inhabitants of the most pious planets. What are the most pious planets? Janas, Tapa and Satyalokas. But still, we have been purified by the drops of water sprinkled from your shoulder hairs by the shaking of your body. Lord Boar shook his shoulders, and from the shoulder hairs, water sprinkled on them. Extraordinary. I mean, this is such a beautiful explanation in the Bhagavatam. So, Srila Prabhupada makes it even better. Srila Prabhupada says, ordinarily, the body of a hog is considered impure. So, Prabhupada says, but one should not consider that the hog incarnation assumed by the Lord is also impure. So what are such people called? You already learned this shloka, new bhaktas. All new bhaktas. Avajananti ma mudha manushim tanumashritam param bhavam ajananta mama bhuta maheshwaram. It's from fools deride me when I descend. Prabhupada uses that translation. So it's a fool. When the Lord descends, we think that He is like us. He has assumed a body like ours. He is a hog like us. Sorry. He is a hog like the hogs that we see. That was from the heart. So, the inhabitants of this is what we need to understand. The Janaloka, Tapaloka, Satyaloka are the most pious people. Srila Prabhupada said most of my disciples will go to the higher planets. So, we need to know a little bit about the behavior patterns of the people there. So, he said that, so it's being mentioned here that they are of the topmost pious planets, yet, because they are part of the material universe, they consider themselves impure. And Prabhupada uses in his purport the fact that Mother Ganga emanated from the toe of the Lord. So the toe of the Lord and the shoulder of the Lord are non-different. Angani yasya sakalendriya vrittimanti. So water from there purifies even those of Janaloka and Tapaloka and Satyaloka. What to speak about us if we worship him? So that's how great Lord Varaha is and his inconceivable potency. Prabhupada further says, the earth was placed on the surface of the Garbhodaka ocean, of the water, by the Lord's inconceivable potency again. He went into the water. Practically the ocean was split. The ocean was almost crying. It split it into two halves almost by diving into it. And while getting out the earth and placing it on his white tusks, he rode further, some people say, some acharyas say. He placed the earth gently on the surface, and in the middle of that killed the asura called Hiranyaksha. Just a day in office for Lord Varaha. That's the Supreme Lord. Hiranyaksha, who's terrorizing the three worlds, who's taking earth personified, earth herself, not earth personified, the earth planet, and keeping her in the Garbhodaka ocean. He's just finishing him off. Just like that, as one small, like, somebody is doing some work on the computer, he answers a phone call and puts it down, like that. It's inconceivable. And this inconceivability is what makes Krishna lovable, which normally, when we think we cannot, pantastu koti shatavatsara sampragamyo vayo rathapi manaso muni pungavanam sopyasti yat prapatasimne vichintya tattve govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Even Brahma Samhita lines we don't need to know. We just have to say govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Because with the strength of our mind, with the speed of our mind, shatavatsara sampragamya, we go. Still we cannot approach him. In tattva, sopyasti yat prapadasimne vichintya tattve. Conceive of him in tattva. So what do? It is mentioned in the previous shloka. Vedeshu durlabham adurlabham atma bhakto. Just be his devotee. That's all we can do. Bhaktya mama bhijanat. Yavan yaschasmi tattvata. That's the point. Bhakta doesn't mean a sentimental fool. Prabhupada used to say. It means somebody who knows Krishna. Jai Krishna tattva veta. He understands Krishna and tattva. That's a devotee. Okay, so let's two things to wind this up with. Oh yeah, let's go back to Varahadev. Why did I tell you this Varahadev thing? Because Shukdev Goswami says, if one hears and describes in a devotional service attitude, no, I don't know about that part, that the devotional service attitude was there, but if one hears, all of you I'm sure are in devotional service attitude, this auspicious narration of Lord Bore, which is worthy of description, the Lord who is within the heart of everyone is pleased. Thank you. That excess strength is to make Haribol out of you. Intelligent person should therefore hear personally and cause others to hear the descriptive narrations of the Lord's activities, for that will destroy the pangs of material existence. Out of his causeless mercy only, the Lord comes to this earth and leaves behind his merciful activities, so that the devotees may derive transcendental benefit. And Shukdev Goswami concludes by saying, nothing remains unachieved when the Supreme Personality of Godhead is pleased. Yasmin tushte, jagat tushte. By transcendental achievement, one understands everything else to be insignificant. One who engages in transcendental loving service is elevated to the highest perfectional stage by the Lord himself, who is seated in everyone's heart. So the Lord is pleased when we hear his narrations of his inconceivability. When he is pleased, he takes us to perfection. That's the equation. We hear the pastimes in the association of devotees. We understand the Lord is inconceivable, accept he is inconceivable, hear about him, sato vritte, from senior devotees and advanced devotees, and hear in their association. And the Lord from within becomes pleased that we are trying to understand him. Prabhupada used to say, oh, my devotee is trying to understand him, understand me. So let me help him. So he helps us reach the perfection stage. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada says that although the boar-like activities of Varahadev are inconceivable, somewhere else Acharyas say that the Nara-like activities of Krishna are even more inconceivable. So what do we do about Krishna? If Varahadev is so inconceivable, what about Krishna, who is even further inconceivable? But why do people still don't surrender? Why do people still don't surrender? Janma Ishwarya Shruta Shribhi Edamana Madah Puman Naivarhat Tabitatum Vai Twama Kinchana Gocharam. Because we have still material contamination in our heart, coming out of our birth, good looks, wealth, intelligence, education, etc. So we are not able to accept the Lord as He is. Therefore, we should become materially impoverished. Pray to the Lord. Yadi dasyasi me kaman varam stvam varadarshaba kamanam hridya samroham bhavatastu vrnevaram. Like Prahlad Maharaj prays to Narasimha Dev. If you so desire to give me any benediction, remove the material desires from my heart. But of course, painlessly. So that prayer we can make to the Supreme Lord. And the conclusion is therefore that the best course is to surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead wholeheartedly, and being protected by Him, remain peaceful. Shanti mrichati. Jnatva mam shanti mrichati. Hare Krishna. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. He has a question. Whatever you decide. I have no.
हरे कृष्ण। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। तो प्रभु जी ने बहुत अच्छा गुणगान किया, भगवान की अचिंतता का गुणगान किया और समर्पण का जो निष्कर्ष है वो निकाला। तो पृथ्वी देवी भी कह रही हैं वीर मूर्ति, तो वीर मूर्ति हैं, धराधर हैं, तो वीर मूर्ति कहलाए। लेकिन अभी उग्र सरोज घान शशि, लेकिन ये आप जो काम कर रहे हैं ये उग्र कर्म है, ये वीर मूर्ति का कार्य नहीं है। तो पृथ्वी देवी का संकेत यही है कि आप जो है वीर मूर्ति उस समय थे, लेकिन ये वीरता नहीं है आपकी, बल्कि आपका उग्र कर्म है जो आप मुझे मार रहे हैं। उग्र सरोज घान शशि, इस तरह से कह रहे हैं। लेकिन प्रभुपाद तात्पर्य में लिखते हैं अल्प ज्ञान के कारण ये जो है पृथ्वी देवी नहीं समझ पा रहे हैं, अल्प ज्ञान के कारण। और पृथ्वी तो माता है, पृथ्वी माता है, गाय माता है, 7 माताओं में से एक पृथ्वी भी माता है, एक गाय भी माता है। तो गाय को भी जो है क्या होता है, डंडा दिखाना पड़ता है। यहाँ पर पृथु महाराज भी जो है दंड दे रहे हैं, वैसे मार नहीं रहे हैं लेकिन दिखा रहे हैं, दंड दिखा रहे हैं। कुछ गलती की है, कुछ अपराध किया है, दंड दिखा रहे हैं। और गाय को भी जो है डंडा दिखाना पड़ता है। तो भगवान कृष्ण के हाथ में भी डंडा रहता है और रस्सी भी रहती है, रस्सी बांधने के लिए। जबकि गाय माता है और पूजित होती है, पूजा की जाती है गाय की, तो भी रस्सी भी का प्रयोग किया जाता है गाय के लिए, और डंडे का भी प्रयोग किया जाता है गाय के लिए। क्यों? कि अल्प ज्ञान है, तो उसको अपनी सुरक्षा का ही जो है ज्ञान नहीं होता है, और वो गलत रास्ते में चलती है और उस खतरे में भी पड़ जाएगी। तो उसी की सुरक्षा के लिए डंडा भी होता है और रस्सी भी होती है, बंधन होता है। तो ऐसी स्थिति कभी कभी मतलब यहाँ शिक्षा के लिए है कि अगर हमारे पास शक्ति हो तो, हमारे पास तो ऐसी शक्ति नहीं है कि ऐसा करें, लेकिन कभी अगर हमारे पास ऐसी शक्ति हो तो उसका प्रयोग किया जा सकता है ऐसे व्यक्ति के लिए जो हमारे पिता के समान हो या माता के समान हो, इन अल्प ज्ञान के कारण अगर वो गलत रास्ते पर चले तो यहाँ पर एक संकेत है। पृथु महाराज जो कर रहे हैं यहाँ पर एक संकेत ये भी है, हमारे पास शक्ति नहीं वो अलग बात है, लेकिन अगर शक्ति हो तो अपने पिता या अपने माता के समान भी कोई व्यक्ति हो, अगर वो अल्प ज्ञान के कारण अगर वो कुछ गलती कर रहा हो तो उसको भी दंड दिखाया जा सकता है या भय दिखाया जा सकता है। ये भी एक शिक्षा है। हरे कृष्णा, हरि बोल।
Thank you, Prabhuji. Having so many different angles, philosophy in exams to to understand this verse. I'm out of rule because we are passing above 9 o'clock. Temple management has decided everybody has to finish by 9 o'clock. So it is our request.
My mistake, I finished.
It is our request that for guest devotee, it's good, they can go. But host devotee, if they want to have some question answer, we have question answer. And if you go, then temple management will be put a hand that. So
I'm just a servant.
so sorry for a question, but it is request to the host devotee if they want to allow the question answer, if give some time before 9 o'clock, then you can have nice discussion for better understanding how much you understood or not, like that. Thank you.
I need to consult with authorities before I can take a decision anyway myself. Any other questions which can discuss offline? Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Ita Nitay Gaur Sitanath Premanande.